Good afternoon. My name is Adeyemi Adesoya. Welcome to No Touch Screens, episode 29. Happy New Year to you, wherever it is you're watching us from. It is great to have you join us again after we've taken a bit of an hiatus. But then, all the leagues are coming back gradually and gradually steam. And as always, I am not alone. I have Tio, the Superman Eze, with me on No Touch with Tio. Welcome. Hello, Tio, are you there? Hello. Well, I guess
Okay,
Tio,
yeah, I can hear.
he's back. All right. Let's not start the new year with network issues, Tio.
With network issues, I thought I had to quickly swap network when I started noticing the usual thing that happens every now and again. But yes, good afternoon, everyone. Happy New Year to all. Good to be back on the show again and good to discuss what we like discussing. I mean, football is never out of fashion. If there is nothing that is there to be excited about for us, the football fans, the football is always there to keep us excited, at least about the little things.
All right. So, I think the main attraction, yes, throughout the Christmas period, the Premier League had all the attention. But now the Serie A is back, Bundesliga is back, and I think that the league that gets the bulk of the attention now is Serie A. And that's because they have a huge full fixture list of midweek games, and because of the small matter of a team, a big team in Milan, who are having some form of resurgence, and they're top of the table, and they're taking on a team that's won the last 9 Scudettos. So, is it right that we can say all the attention shifts to Serie A?
There's no overstatement there. In fact, you actually even understated what Milan have managed to achieve this season and even this fact the whole calendar year of 2020. They are not on some sort of resurgence. They are the only unbeaten side in the whole of Europe, maybe, and I think it's something. And they are doing this without the player we thought was behind everything good that was going on in that part of town. The old Zlatan Ibrahimovic, as many people prefer to focus on in terms of his age. But he has been out injured. We thought the team will crumble. Some key players, Benassa is still injured. Ismail Benassa, their main midfield link man. In midfield, he has been out for a long period and he's still out. Simon Kjaer is still out. Now he's back. He played there this last weekend. But then the defense didn't suffer as much as many expected. In fact, Milan has scored for 17 games straight, not less than 2 goals for 17 games straight. Also a record.
That's actually a fantastic achievement.
I think they are doing everything correct. One of the best defense in Europe entirely. Of course, one of the best in Serie A. Only Juve, who is the opponent tonight, and the well-organized Hellas Verona have more clean sheets than Milan. That Milan 16. Those two have 14. So you're talking about the most informed team in Europe, a team who is feeling near arrogant about their chances of going all the way this season, and rightly so.
Just said near arrogant.
I mean, when you succeed so much, I mean, we're seeing that happening in the other side of Manchester, where after the disappointment of the Champions League exit, a couple of great results came in, of course, coupled with what was going on the supposed favorite Liverpool, and everything is looking like, it's now Man U, and that normally comes with extra confidence that borders on arrogance.
Well, that's the thing, that the door is still very wide open in England, but our focus is not on England. We will take a little bit of Premier League at the end. But let's talk about the fixture list for today. I think in the next 25 minutes or so, the first game should kick off, and that's Cagliari taking on Benevento, who I have been kind of impressed with, even though they are struggling at the lower embers of the league. Crotone host Roma, another team I've actually been impressed with, despite the fact that they're not doing too well. Crotone, especially with Junior Messiah in front of leading the line for them. I think that's a really good striker. Even though I think he's 29 now, but I think a lot of teams across Europe will be looking at him to probably sign him in January or in the summer. Oh yes, in the summer. There's Lazio taking on Fiorentina. Fiorentina, for me, still haven't snapped out of the ills of the previous manager, even though Prandelli is there, but they still look very suspect for me. Sampdoria host Inter. That should be an interesting tie. Ranieri's side have also blown hot and cold for most of the season. Sassuolo will take on Genoa. Sassuolo need to bounce back from a huge humiliation against Atalanta. I remember telling people to watch out for that game, and they started wanting me to commit. But I said it was a brilliant game of football. You wouldn't get any better form of attacking football than from those two sides, that's Atalanta and Sassuolo. Torino seemed to have bounced back with Armando Izzo looking like the player that I once really, really admired, and I was looking forward to coming to the Premier League. Torino are looking good. They take on Verona, who have continued to impress this season. Atalanta seem like they've bounced back, and they're taking on Parma. All these games not at is it 2 p.m. or 3 p.m.? Let me see, what time are these games?
It's 3 p.m. Nigerian time.
3 p.m. Nigerian time. So
Nigerian time, yes, for most of them. Then the late game is the Juve Milan.
Milan, yes. So for those of us on that other side, please take note. The games are coming early in Syria today, 3 p.m. Nigerian time. So don't dull yourself. Don't think it's going to be a late night fixture. Bologna take on Udinese, another team who, you just worry about those. Napoli with Zelensky. Zelensky is looking like a really, really good midfielder at the moment. They take on Spezia. Of course, the big game of the weekend.
Or midweek, yeah.
Hello, Chio.
Please, still here.
Sorry, I guess my internet just cut off. Sorry, guys. Apologies to you guys. This is what we face in Nigeria. There's very little reliability with our internet networks. But hey, what can we say? So I was talking about Inter. Now, you have just one game a week to worry about, or in this case, maybe 2 games a week. In certain match weeks, you have probably 2 games a week. So after this game against Crotone and the absolutely fantastic second half you guys had, Inter Milan, confident that Inter can go all the way?
First, I want to. I'm not a fan of that focus or that mention that you started with when mentioning Inter about having 1 game a week. Because people have a way of trying to break that on, not just for Inter's sake, but more about Conte. And the truth is, performance. Nobody, no team in Europe or no team in the whole world in European football have had to play. Hello, hear me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Oh, okay. I was trying to emphasize that no team has played more games than Inter in the whole Europe still. So because European football has been off since Inter got eliminated, of course, and no one is going to play till mid-February. So all of the points that have raked in from then till now and going to that period cannot just be discounted for some sort of imaginary advantage of having been eliminated from European football. Nobody, as I said already, have recommended European football in any tier of the competition.
That what you're saying now is we should wait till February or March.
It's not any particular, more about it's not any particular advantage really, because if something should happen to Inter or even to Man U as it were, it should be huge disappointments of having been eliminated where they felt they were good enough to at least advance to the next stage, and maybe that should have been a drag on the team and not a boost. But somehow these two teams, particularly Inter, have managed to come off it, continue their season, and it can be pointed as some sort of advantage where no one, I emphasize, have played any extra game since then, not in Europe or anywhere else since then till date, and it's not going to change till mid-February. So if they manage to go top of the table, it will be because this team has bounced back, found a system that has worked for them, and are going all the way because the team is that good, not because there is any particular advantage of being in Europe or not being in Europe. Because, as I said again, over and over, I try to say that in a lot of media. Yes, please.
What I'm saying is this: are you saying that we should not cast those aspersions yet? Let us wait till February, mid-March, when the whole European games start coming up thick and fast. Should we now take a look at Inter then and start potentially second-guessing them if they have issues with their running at that time? Is that what you're saying?
Well, what I'm even saying more is that it is not any particular advantage, because this Inter, before the season started, were one of the key, if not the primary favorite to win the Scudetto in Italy. And being out of European football does not necessarily change that. The squad quality is sizably better than the rest of the patch, if not for the form that we have seen in Milan that has sustained itself, such that even the young players, including people that were nameless before they joined Milan, like the young Norwegian Hag, Salamanca, and some of those names, Kalulu, the young French defender, all of them have found the form going with the form of the team, and are doing well, beating every expectation, including their own best imagination, I suppose. And good and fine, they are well worth their place at the top of the table at this point of the season. But if Inter manages to go ahead of them, which looks inevitable, at least from my own personal view, at some point in the season, again, it won't be because Inter has been eliminated from Europe. That's what I've been trying to emphasize.
Okay, now let me ask you this. Are we rightfully, potentially writing off Juve? Because I see a lot of people and I read a lot of stuff and in conversations, a lot of people are somewhat discounting Juve and the experience that they have when it comes to going into a proper title slug. Yes, they're probably, I think they're fifth now. They still have to sort out the issue with Napoli, the game against Napoli. They still have to sort that out. Fifth, 10 points off the pace and 9 points off Inter. Are we rightfully writing off Juve even though they also have a game in hand?
That may be too soon, because it's just 15 games. Today's game will make it the 16th one for both sides. So, 16 games in the season means there are still 22 games to be played, and that's additional. How many points now? 22 by 3. That's a lot of points. 66 points. In fact, in some leagues back in the days when things were a lot more competitive, maybe people won the league with 66. I don't recall any now with that few points to win the league. Maybe in the 2 point years, but then in the 3 point years, maybe if you lump that to whatever you have now, even if it's 10, it might be just about enough to be champion by May, June. So writing them off this early, as you rightly suggested, will be too early. But at the same time, Juve have not given anyone any reason to think that they are the Juve of the past 9 seasons. It was always going to go one way. Nobody dominates forever. We've seen great teams in the past, including the great Barcelona of Xavi, Iniesta. After certain players exit the team, it's usually difficult to continue to replace them with players of similar quality and mentality, not just quality now, but mentality. Juve have managed to sustain this for a long period. Kudos to the slowness in the rest of the pack in adapting to the new financial football. I like to use that term because a lot changed when FFP came on board and when clubs were forced to stop spending out of pockets of their financiers, the presidents, as we are in Serie A, and that affected, of course, the huge Milan giants, AC and Inter. And we know what ownership issues they've had for the past 10 seasons. Everyone is trying to sort that out a bit, and that gap in terms of financial performance is at least reducing, and also is also showing on the pitch. So it was always going to go one way for Juve in terms of where this run was going to end. And this, if you have to place a bet on what season that will happen, you won't be out of place to look at this season, because many will imagine that if they don't get a win against Milan today, or if Milan even beat them, that will mean that Juve will be 13 points off the top spot. Yeah. Yes, it's 22 games to go, but then mentally, for a team who have not particularly had any consistent run through the season so far, you would think it will be such a mountain to climb to claw back 13 points off a team like Milan that had a 2020 as one of the most informed teams in the whole of Europe. And then an Inter who, of course, as you already mentioned, some sort of advantage of not being in Europe, but have also found form to now pick points, winning 8 on the bounce. It will be difficult for Juve to keep pace with such teams.
Let's look at that game critically before we look at which other games stand out for us. From a tactical perspective, what can we expect? Milan, as you said, have struggled with a lot of injuries. I like the fact that it seems that Pirlo is going somewhat a little bit back to the basics. I saw him switch to a back four, played more like a 4-4-2 in their last game with Ronaldo up front and Alvaro Morata, who's really been really good. The Bala coming on. Do you think the back to the basics approach by Juve is good for all to see? And will the youthful exuberance of Milan see them especially playing at home, they're undefeated, like you said, scoring tons of goals? Where do you think the game will stand out from a tactical perspective?
Thank you for mentioning that, Yemi, because with Milan, we have naturally have associated with them with what we call morale boosting results and performance through a long period of time and things like that. And that could, in essence, eliminate the fact that Stefano Pioli and his staff have done quite a huge tactical tweak that have made that this team have found the right balance over the course of the past one year, and now coming into the form that they are in currently. They've gone with the traditional 4-2-3-1. That's the very traditional one, having two, not defensive midfielders, but central midfielders, ball-playing ones. Luckily for me, he has the characteristics to make that happen with Benacer, who is currently injured, and Kessie, bringing both muscle, steel, and good passing range, box-to-box of some sort, joining the attack in moments, but most importantly, trying to also provide some balance to the whole team. Then the front, rather the three in front of a lone striker, Çalhanoğlu, the Turkish guy, found his form again, even though they're still having that contract issue. We don't know how that will end. The young Salamekas, he's injured currently, so we might see the Spanish Castellero take that spot in the right wing forward position. And then the Croatian Rebic, who will probably be on the left side of the three in front of Leao, who will be leading the line. They have been walking their socks off for most of the season, taking their chances, taking the bull by the horn. I mean, many didn't expect them to. Most people associated their finding form and confidence with Zlatan, but Zlatan has been out for I don't know how number of games now, but it's been quite a long period. And this team have continued to do well, maintaining that balance. Yes, the confidence is there. The confidence cannot be ruled out as part of the boost that has seen this team do well. But more importantly, from a tactical perspective, the balance that Pioli has found in this team, finding the best use for Frank Kessie and in terms of role, not just position, but also role, making him to be the go-to man in midfield, the man who shields the defense, has the responsibility of shielding the defense, and at the same time, helping the team play in the whole central area, being the battle man against any opposition at all in midfield. It has helped this team to find an impeccable balance. Off the ball, they work hard, probably harder than most teams. I don't have the specific current distance cover statistics, but Milan, as at 2 games ago, the last time I saw it, were one of the top 2 in terms of distance covered, average distance covered by their team. So that tells you that this is a team that works hard. So they don't just rely on their talents; they are working so hard, including the creative players. Çalhanoğlu, of all people, I recall when he was the one Milan fans will point to when things were going wrong back in the days, and all of a sudden, I don't know how he found both the confidence and the will. It was more about will to really work so hard for the team, pushing forward at will, dropping deep when he needs to drop deep, And I don't know, the team has really surprised me in particular, because I didn't think the form was something sustainable to date. I mean, I know some of these players from even their previous club before they joined Milan, and I know how they have performed in Milan over the period, but somehow the Pioli has managed to keep them grounded, insisting that they work hard, and this team is working to perfection. I mean, the more reliable names are there. The Theo Hernandez, who we know what he brings, a very quick left back, quick on the ball, quick, precise with his passing range and his crosses, knows how to join the attack, and he's not bad defensively at the same time. And then Calabria on the other side, the right back, who brings that stability. The centre back pairing is not bad, and they have that reliance on a goalkeeper who is one of the best in the world. In my opinion, definitely not outside the top 5 goalkeepers in the world currently, in Gigi Donnarumma, the young star, but with nearly 200 appearances for a top club like Milan already in his young age. So they're an exposed side in some way. So, and then confident, because that's what results can help you get, and that's what has happened to them. So this is a team that is tactically aware of how to perform, and also have the right confidence that comes with, of course, winning the number of games that they've managed to win, including the last one. I mean, they got very early red card, and instead of the imminent collapse that many imagined would follow, they found a way to still weather the storm, stayed in the game, and then hit on the break and got the second goal to find their calm again. So this team is quite confident, quite tactically aware, as I like to mention. As traditional as the 4-2-3-1 is, every team in Serie A is similarly struggling to find how to cope with Milan at Saturday, Yemi.
It'll be interesting to see how, if Pirlo goes with a 4-4-2 again in this one, to see how it copes with Milan's 4-2-3-1, and
4-2-3-1.
especially their
his
press.
4-4-2 is not exactly as traditional, because he tries
I know
to
it's
do
not exactly
three central midfielders and one winger. That's what he has been doing. Something that allows him a flexibility to switch to a back three in possession.
Exactly, and I know that, and it's interesting to see those adaptations being made, and it'll be interesting to see how they cope with Milan potentially having 5 in the middle, as against him having 3, 4, or 5 in certain situations that Juve might be looking to adapt.
Yeah.
Hopefully, my one worry for Milan has to be the contract situations with the likes of Donnarumma, Akanji. I'm hoping that somehow, somewhere along the line, they're able to resolve this issue so that the team can focus on the battle.
The Sporting angle seems to be winning currently.
Yeah, but at the same time, it has a way of, dovetailing into the team where you have doubts creeping into the team, like, okay, this guy, is he really for us? He has 5 months to go on his deal. Is he really in this with us? Is he really in this battle, or his mind is elsewhere? And the rumor mill is going to be rife with a lot of stuff now because of the period that we're in. Then in January they can talk to foreign clubs, so you can't really tell the kind of impact or effects it will have on the team. So looking at the other fixtures,
very correct, yeah.
Looking at the other fixtures, which other game stands out for you that people should be watching?
Well, I won't call it a standout game. There are various, but let me start with the first one that is kicking off in a few minutes, less than 5 now. Raja Nainggolan is back at Cagliari, of course, and he's getting a chance to start this one. He couldn't manage to start at Inter. Of course, the squad quality there and his injuries, and I understand the attitude in general meant that he was given quite a limited minutes. I'm not sure he accumulated up to 30 minutes in total for his 6 months at Inter, but he's back at Cagliari, familiar ground, and he's already starting a game. And he's a team that needs any boost that they can get, because as you mentioned when you were introducing the game, they are languishing in 15th position, only 3 points off Spezia in 18th, so they are not far from being mentioned with relegation trouble. So they need to start picking the points early, quick and fast, and they are not going to get it any easy against the Serie A returnees. Filippo Inzaghi managed Benevento, who many might think, if you watch that game against Milan, would think we were unlucky to not get anything from that game, because they also put in a lot. despite being a man ahead. But somehow Milan managed the game well and got away with the 3 points. They will give Cagliari a lot of troubles today, and we'll see how Di Francesco will cope in reintroducing the Angolan into the squad, and how that may help them start climbing up the table quickly, because despite it being early in the season, this will be the 16th game for all the teams. And if you are still languishing near relegation places, the confidence, of course, will keep going away. And that's a huge factor in a team sports like football. But the other interesting games for me will be Lazio Fiorentina. Both, yes, as we mentioned, Fiorentina still disappointing result after they managed that wonder of the last game of the season, or rather of the year, beating Juve away, a place they've not won in several seasons, and managing to get away with 3 points and 3 goals unreplied in that tie. Somehow didn't continue that form in the next home fixture. That was last weekend, and they drew that particular home game. So they will be looking at this one and looking at a Lazio side who have not been consistent, as it were, on their own, to try to see what they can get at Lazio. So I believe that this will be a strong tactical battle. Lazio on their own will be trying to also show that they are still in the mix for chasing the Champions League places. For now, they made it to the next round, but they are languishing in 9th position, which is far off their minimum target of the season, which I suppose will be to return to the Champions League. And they're not looking like it's not looking like an easy task for them, because they've been struggling with consistency a lot. The points gap is not that crazy. It's still only 4 points, despite them being 9th. But then the teams ahead of them look better on most counts compared to the Simeone Inzaghi side. So it's going to be a really strong game for both sides, because Fiorentina, as I said, will be trying to find their place. Roma is one of the most consistent sides for me in Serie A. I like how they've set up, and somehow Mkhitaryan, that's what environment and the right place can do for you. All of a sudden, I saw that the side that have created the most clear-cut chances in the whole of European football. Yemi, I saw the statistics showing about 4 Serie A clubs in the top 10 best quality chance created per 90 minutes in the whole Europe for this season. And Roma, of course, is leading that pack, and that's thanks to Mkhitaryan and Pellegrini. I won't call him a youngster any longer. He has played more than 4 seasons already now. These guys always look young in your head because you still see them from the perspective of when they started playing. But he has been their vice captain now these days. They've managed to find a good rhythm to their game. Fonseca, credit to him. A good setup. 3-4-2-1, and he's working wonders, because Mkhitaryan and Pellegrini just sitting behind Zeko. They found a way to reintegrate Carl's drop, a big signing back in the days from Ajax, but then couldn't make it at Roma. They loaned him around for 2 straight seasons now. He's back and somehow found more than relevance, becoming one of the more creative players. What they expected of him, of course, when they signed him then from Ajax, Carl's drop, and his performance is looking like something that may be able to even get him consideration into the Dutch national team again, and that will be quite a season that he and his team are having in general. They're only 7 points off top spots, Milan, and Milan will be, of course, having that difficult game with Juve at home today. Anything that happens there may benefit people like Roma, who will be trying to at least cement their place in the Champions League place. They are not a team that want to stay off Champions League, and they will still be bitter that their bitter rival Lazio are not just made Champions League last year, but are even in the next round of the Champions League. So the last game again, that of the other games that will catch my attention, we already discussed Inter and Sampdoria, and I believe it's quite a tricky tie, because Sampdoria is a disciplined side that don't attack in numbers or give you undue space, and that's one of the things that can frustrate Conte's Inter, who we know keep average possession mostly in their own half and waiting for you to make the mistakes and allow them chances to throw men forward quickly. Sampdoria won't allow them a lot of that space, and Sampdoria have enough weaponry on their own to also cause Inter's defense, who's, despite the numbers looking good in terms of clean sheets, have not been very assuring if you have watched them closely this season, including their 8 stretch wins that they've enjoyed in Serie A recently. Quagliarella is still there, and I understand Keita will probably be starting this one, and we know his pace is something that the not very quick 3 centre-back of Inter's, Bastoni, De Vrij, and Skriniar will not be very comfortable with. And Keita, of course, will also be trying to show what Inter missed out in letting him go when they had him in their hand during that loan spell, where he helped send the team back to Champions League in Luciano Spalletti's time. So those are the games. And the other one, again, that you have to look out for is Torino, that you mentioned. You suggested that they found form. I won't call it form. I will say, well, they found the right result to at least be of the relegation spots, even though it's just by goal difference for now.
Please.
Of course, it's
I'm wishing that I'm wishing a real one. I'm wishing him good this time. I'm not wishing.
You're wishing him good. No. They might find the right balance, because I like how the coach set up the team the last time, and even the predicted lineup is showing that he's going to follow similar pattern. He's not going to be as offensive as using 2 forwards. They know that the go-to man for their goals is Belotti, so they try to just keep him there and then put a lot of hard workers around him and all that. More about trying to protect their own goal than trying to get the goals themselves, so that they can manage to keep any advantage that they can get in the game. Of course, they'll be facing a very organized side, the Ivan Juric's Hellas Verona, and we know that they are quite a tough nut to crack, particularly for the big guys. Torino is not one of those big ones, so their own luck, it will mean that Hellas may be a little more adventurous, even though they are playing away at the Olimpico in Turin. So they may be a little more adventurous, which will allow Belotti the space to hurt them. You don't be surprised if Torino manages to pick up all 3 points in this one. And if they do, that will give them that big boost that will remind them that they don't belong to the relegation struggles, and that could help the team at least come up from that dogfight. But that's a good one to watch. I believe that will be quite a very good game, because it will be quite balanced. Hellas is another interesting side. You already mentioned how attacking and exciting you find Sassuolo and your beloved Atalanta. Hellas is another one in terms of overall balance. They're attacking in a very tactical, organized manner, and also don't give you too much chance in terms of how they defend. A lot better balance than those two. I really like watching Hellas Verona. It will be quite interesting to see how Torino copes with that one, because they will be also looking for that 3 points I mentioned to give them a little more comfort of staying off, getting some gap from the relegation struggle. So yes, it's an interesting full roundup of Serie A for this midweek. Something that could have a lot of impact in terms of how teams will feel about themselves and their chances leading to near half the season. It's still game 16, so 2 more games to have the season, but many teams will want to feel that around where they belong before we get to half of the season, where things get even come quicker and faster, and even with more pressure and tension for the teams.
Okay, so Theo, as we round up, just one question. Who wins the Premier League and who wins La Liga?
La Liga, I'll start with La Liga. I am hoping it's Simeone's Atletico Madrid. Of course, that was my prediction for last season. Of course, also my prediction early on this season when we did the full season preview for the top leagues. I believe their team is strong enough to do that. I didn't see Madrid of last season happening as they happened, and I believe it's a one-off. Somehow they're also proving me wrong, because they have found a way to start picking those points, just similar to what they did last season again, and it's getting uncomfortable even for Atleti. I know, and for Simeone. But I still think they have the best squad in the division, and they have that reliable man, Luis Suarez, that Barcelona, for whatever bizarre reason, gifted them. I'm sure he will get enough goals to ensure that they have that advantage over Real Madrid and will eventually make it as champions. For the Premier League, it was looking like a done deal. Of course, people got excited about the performance of some of the sides, and the usual thing, 7 teams can win the league. Rhetorics and all of those came up and things like that. All of these people are in the title hunt, but we know that for teams like Spurs, their best results and even their best desire this season is definitely to return to the Champions League. It can't possibly be in their head that they want to win the league. I don't know how and where it will come from. Not even from the biggest motivator and one of the greatest coaches, Mourinho, will be thinking that Spurs will manage to steal the league away. It wasn't going to happen. Liverpool, of course, will always fancy their chances. They won it in record numbers last season, and it's still one of the best squads around.
Why do you say it wasn't going to happen?
Who? For Spurs?
Nobody has been consistent. Nobody has been consistent this season in the Premier League so far. At some point, United.
But some teams.
Wait, hold on now.
No,
Arsenal flouting, Chelsea flouting, that's Liverpool. Spurs were really good at the point. They flouted. City have struggled at the start of this season. It's an open title race. And if you look
that's what people
at the top 7, is separated by 3 or 4 points.
Yes, that's the narrative that all of us in football will prefer to always throw around, because that's what keeps things exciting for us. But we know that the facts remain that a few teams have certain problems and are still around the top positions. And one of that will be... Yes, please.
Okay, so
Can you hear me now? Okay, for me in England, it's difficult to see
Who
beyond
wins? Just tell us who wins. No, no
Manchester City
elaborate.
wins the Premier
Who
League.
wins?
Manchester City,
Who
I
will
haven't
win?
changed my
Just tell me
prediction
who will
from
win.
Manchester City. Manchester City will win the Premier League. That was my prediction early on in the season. I still think that they have been around the top spots despite all of their challenges and almost flying under the radar. And that's almost criminal. It's unbelievable that teams like Spurs, even Chelsea, who is just forming teams, a new team with
And they are
very
sticking
few
to
young
it.
lads that are not consistent. And people are somehow heaping more pressure on these teams, including even Man U, than they're heaping on City, allowing Pep and his team that is definitely only second to Liverpool by both squad quality and anything you want to use to fly under the radar, and they're almost flying and coasting comfortably, performing okay and finding the right consistency. They're definitely going to win the league for me unless Liverpool refines their form. It's either or for me. Every other person is out of the title race. Forget what the points tell you at this stage of the season. It's definitely going to be City, and if that doesn't happen, it will be because Liverpool is proving to be too tough to crack. I don't see any other person strong enough or even desirous enough to go all the way for the trophy.
Okay, Theo has said it. He's stuck to his initial prediction. I actually have some money on City winning the league. That bet is still running on Bet29. So who knows? If City win the league, I will be making some extra change in my pocket. Well, we've done over 35 minutes. I guess it's good to round up now. And we'll try as much as possible in future episodes to stick within 30 to 40 minutes. Thank you for joining us. We will try as much as possible to become more consistent. You know, Tio is my oga, so anytime he calls me, I will answer. So Tio, thank you very much for the return. Episode
Thank you
29.
so
So
much,
we
Amy.
need
Thank
to
you for
do
the
episode
opportunity.
30 next time. So we need to do that. We need to do that big. We need to do that big. All right, Tio. Have a lovely day, everybody.
Thank
Enjoy
you so much.
yourself.
Have a
Have a
lovely day
lovely
too.
day. I have a ton
Enjoy.
of Syria matches to watch. So hopefully NEPA gives us light throughout. So I can just sit down and just be watching Syria. Cagliari and
I'll enjoy
Benevento
this.
are started 0-0, 8 minutes into the game. All right. So thank you everybody for joining. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.